Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live class here on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm so happy to see you all. I'm gonna wait for everyone to join. Say hi in the comments, and I cannot wait to get started. I have an exciting lesson for you. I'm gonna show you. We have a vocabulary boost. We're gonna talk about vocabulary, how to remember those words that you're trying to learn. I'm going to teach you my system, my method. I also have a free PDF that you can download. It's right there in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, you can go ahead and download my 5-step method. It's a vocabulary planner to help you build your vocabulary and plan your vocabulary. So you can go ahead and download it for free. It's linked right here, and my team is just going to add it to the chat so you have it, and then we're going to get started. Hello. Hi, everyone. So we have Melanita, and we have Seuyon. Hello. Taha. Hi. And hello, everyone. I'm so happy to welcome you here to our live class. So vocabulary is it's a big thing, right? When we think about improving our English, and when we think about learning any language, even when we think about improving the way we express ourselves in our first language, right? It always comes down to the words that we use, that we are able to express ourselves with. And it's either we are happy with the simple, most immediate vocabulary that we have, and sometimes it feels like the vocabulary that we have is limited, especially when it comes to speaking in a second language. And then there is the need to expand, to have more options, more opportunities, to have the freedom to choose. Because you can use the word tired and you can use the word exhausted. And of course, they sometimes mean different things, but you want to have the ability to choose between different words that sometimes mean different things, or just to have more versatility. So I'm sure you can all relate to this. As many of you already know, I'm now learning Spanish. And for me, this is a big thing that I'm learning. I'm still a beginner. So for me, even just getting the basic vocabulary, that would be amazing. But as you know, like from the experience of my students, I know that sometimes we want more. So this lesson is about that. I'm going to teach you my 5-step method to boosting your vocabulary. This method has worked incredibly well for so many of my students, and I want to share that with you today. Again, you can download the free PDF that goes along with it. It's right there in the description. And then we're going to practice 10 different words from Oxford's word list for B2 speakers. So it's going to be an exciting opportunity to kind of like look at words that are good to know. They're not critical. You can use other words, simpler words, but these are words that can help you expand your vocabulary. What we're going to do is we're going to look at those words, we're going to look at the pronunciation, and then I'm going to give you example sentences. All right, so that is what the plan is for today. Are you ready? Let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the recording, you can just say yes. I'll hear you in my mind after this live class is over. So my 5-step method to build your vocabulary. The first thing is to collect. I always talk about the difference between active vocabulary and passive vocabulary. If you want to enhance your vocabulary, it's really easy to think about, or the immediate thing is that we think about just learning new words that you do not know. Because then if you know the word, why do you need to learn it? But here lies the problem. The problem lies with us or English learners just learning more and more and more words with lists and apps and books, which is great. But those words are not available because we learn them and they stay in the passive vocabulary, which means words that you understand and you do not use, versus active vocabulary, words that you use immediately, quickly, without thinking about it. So active vocabulary is the words that we use without thinking: home, chicken, soup, run, walk, opportunity, right? Like words that we can use without thinking about it. But then we have a whole set of words where if we were to hear those words, we'd be like, I know what it means. I've heard it before. I understand it in this context, but we just don't use them. Because A, maybe we're not comfortable using them. B, maybe we don't know how to pronounce them. C, maybe we're afraid of making mistakes because we don't know how to use them accurately in the right context. And D, maybe we just don't have a lot of opportunities to use these specific words and then we forget about them. And then we only remember them when we hear them. Can you relate? Right? Can you relate to this experience? So the solution that people usually go to when it comes to, okay, I feel limited with my vocabulary is to learn new words, but then you're just expanding your passive vocabulary, increasing that gap between the words that you use and the words that you know. So what we want to do is to focus on the words that you know, but you rarely use, okay? If then it means that you have to do less work when doing this vocabulary practice because you already know the words, and the impact is going to be big because you'll be able to use them more quickly. So collecting the vocabulary needed is noticing the words that you don't use, but you need and you know. Okay. So start noticing around you every time you hear someone at work or on a YouTube video or on TV or your neighbor when they say something, and then you're like, I never use that word. I never use that idiom. I never use that phrasal verb. And then you write it down for yourself. So you start collecting those words. So it's not about words that you don't use. It's words that you know, but not words that you don't know, but words that you know, but you don't use. Then we want to build the muscle memory. Here's the secret. Vocabulary, really a set of habits. When you think about it, what is a habit? A habit is something that you do automatically without thinking about it. This is how we want to be able to retrieve words without thinking about it, right? And that's the thing about vocabulary, is that for you to be able to retrieve the word immediately, you have to say it again and again. There needs to be some kind of repetition. Okay. Your mouth needs to say it enough times for it to become automatic. It doesn't happen naturally if you just think about it. It doesn't happen if you just learn it, if you just read it. It's going to be really hard to pull it and to say it without having the experience of saying it. Now, it's either you need to actually use it enough times and then you build a habit naturally. This is what happens with most of your active vocabulary, or you need to trick your brain into creating that experience, that habit. And this is what we do when we build muscle memory. The way we do it is we just say it out loud again and again and again with a correct pronunciation. So you clarify the pronunciation for yourself so that that is not an issue. And then you say it out loud again and again and again until the word feels comfortable in your mouth. The third step is to observe. It's really look at this word in context. Now with Google and in particular with ChatGPT, by the way, stay until the end. And I'm going to give you 3 prompts that you can use with ChatGPT for excellent vocabulary exercises for free using AI. So stay until the end for that. But observe is really look for real life examples of this word, how this word is used in sentences. So you can use ChatGPT for it. And today we're going to do that with the 10 words that I'm going to teach you. So when you look at example sentences, you want to say them out loud 3 times each sentence at least. Then you want to start producing the language using the word. So you want to create your own sentences. Do not write it down. Say it out loud to yourself. You say a sentence with a new word. Again, with ChatGPT. And if you're in one of my programs, you can use Hadar AI, your digital fluency coach, to get feedback and to be like, is this the correct way to use it? And then you can practice it more effectively. And then you want to implement it in real life speaking so that you want to use this word intentionally when speaking freely. I'm going to show you how to do that with today's practice. So these are the 5 steps. Collect the words. Today, I'm going to offer you the words, 10 words. Build muscle memory. Say the word out loud. Repeat it with the right pronunciation. Observe. See how it's structured in sentences, real life examples. Create your own sentences and then use it intentionally when speaking. This list is outlined in my 5-step vocabulary planner so you can have access to it. It's in the description, and I'm going to also link it in the chat right now. Okay. I think, yeah. So you can go ahead and get access to it yourself so you can write notes, and I'm going to give you a minute to download it. Now, I'm going to share with you for the vocabulary boost practice, we're going to apply it. So I collected 10 words for speakers, for B2 speakers from the Oxford word list. I don't love lists, but this specific list is good to look at and say, oh, I know these words, but I don't use them. So I selected words that a lot of you might kind of know, but you probably don't use, and we're going to change that today. So the first word is adequate. Adequate. Let me know in the chat if you know this word or not. Adequate. And if you're watching the replay, just think to yourself, have you ever heard this word? Adequate means satisfactory or acceptable in quality or quantity. Adequate. It's good enough. Like it's exactly the right amount in quality or quantity. For example, and notice, the definition alone never helps. So whenever you look at the definition, be like, okay, let's look at an example. Because even if you don't get it right away, your subconscious brain will get it the more you look at examples. I'm going to give you 3 examples. Say them out loud with me. So first of all, let's say the word adequate. A-dick-wit. A-dick-wit. Adequate. The D becomes very light when it's in the middle of the word. Adequate, adequate, adequate. Say it with me. Adequate, 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 adequate. Repeat it with me. Adequate, 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 until it's not a problem to say it. How do you say it? Say it now. Good. Adequate, 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 adequate. Good. Don't underestimate the importance of saying it many, many times. Example sentences. Her explanation was adequate, but I still had a few questions. It was good enough. It was pretty okay. It was satisfying. But if I want a little bit more, then it wasn't enough. Adequate. His performance was adequate, though he could have done better. Let's say it again. His performance was adequate, though he could have done better. Listen, you guys, the repetitions. You don't need more examples. You need to repeat it out loud with me, okay? This is how you build muscle memory. This is how you build pronunciation confidence. Trust me, I know, I've seen it. This is the method I use when I teach my students, and it works. This is the method I use when I learn Spanish. Saying it out loud again and again and again. His performance was adequate, though he could have done better. The room was adequate for our needs. Nothing too fancy. We don't need something big. It was quite adequate. The room was adequate for our needs. Nothing too fancy. Good. The next word is, read it out loud and tell me if you know this word. How do you say this word? Considerable. 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 Considerable is a lot of something, more than you'd expect. It's almost like the opposite of adequate. Considerable. I always like to attach some kind of movement or facial expression when I think of a word that I'm trying, considerable, So always remember me making that face, considerable. Let's say it out loud together. When was the last time you used this word? For those who said yes, or you were thinking yes, when was the last time you used it yourself? Considerable, 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 considerable. Primary stress, si. Considerable, 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 considerable. Let's look at an example. She put in a considerable amount of effort on that project. She put in a considerable amount of effort on that project. One more time. She put in a considerable amount of effort on that project. That's a considerable improvement from last time. Nice job. That's a considerable improvement from last time. Nice job. We spent a considerable chunk of our budget on the venue. It's a big chunk of our budget, right? A considerable chunk. So you could say we spent a big chunk of our budget, or you can say we spent a considerable chunk of our budget on the venue, right? It adds another layer. Could be, could mean the same thing in a way if you're like just thinking about the meaning, but this is like another layer, another way to say it, a way that indicates a little bit more about what you're saying, okay? Because considerable is sometimes like you don't even expect it. We spent a considerable chunk of our budget on the venue, or maybe it's deliberate, okay? Now, so far we did collect, that's step number 1. And then you want to build pronunciation confidence, right? Or build a habit through repetitions. We did it, considerable, considerable, considerable. Then we want to observe it. This is what I'm doing here. I'm giving you example sentences and you want to say it out loud. And then you need to create your own example sentences. So now, looking at these sentences, I want you to take a second and write an example sentences to yourself or in the chat. Come up with an example sentences for the word considerable, okay? So take a minute, think about it. Okay, good. Now, this is step 4. Step 5 is to be intentional about using the word considerable in real conversation. So there are 2 ways to do it. One, you can just practice speaking, okay? You can just answer a question out loud to yourself. You can record yourself and make a point of using the word considerable without planning ahead. Or in the next conversation that you have with a friend, keep it at the top of your mind and be like, I want to use the word considerable today, and try to be intentional about using it. This is how you kind of like level up the place of this word in your brain. Incentive. Maybe you've heard it before. If you work in a corporate job, then you've probably heard it before. Incentive. If you work in marketing, incentive. Incentive is a reason or reward that makes you want to do something. Incentive. What's the incentive? Okay. What do I get out of it? Incentive. 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 Okay, good. They offered a discount as an incentive to sign up early. They offered a discount as an incentive, trying to get them to do something. That's the reward, to sign up early. So a discount or a bonus is an incentive for someone to buy something. Without some kind of incentive, I don't see people sticking with it. Without some kind of incentive, I don't see people sticking with it. Without some kind of incentive, I don't see people sticking with it. They need to give employees more incentive to stay. They need to give employees more incentive to stay. Incentive. Now, write in the comments a sentence with the word incentive. So some of you said, yes, I know this word. Ask yourself, how often do you use it? Or do you use it at all? Again, one reason could be because you never had a chance to use it, this specific word in this specific context, but maybe you never, like, it wasn't available to you. And this is why these exercises are going to be really helpful. The next word is unacceptable. Unacceptable is not okay at all. Totally not allowed or inappropriate. So again, like I like to think of words, like when I think of teaching words or learning words, I'm, think of an emotional connection. Think of something that is unacceptable, right? Think of a teacher saying, no, that is unacceptable. Or like that face, unacceptable, right? Probably not going to remember it as something good. Unacceptable, 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 unacceptable. The service at the restaurant was unacceptable. We waited over an hour for our food. The service at that restaurant, say it out loud with me. Please don't let me just read it out loud to you. Say it with me. The service at that restaurant was unacceptable. We waited over an hour for our food. The next one. It's unacceptable to show up this late without notice. It's unacceptable to show up this late without notice. I do not accept it. It is unacceptable. The food was cold. It's totally unacceptable for that price. The food was cold. It's totally unacceptable for that price. I mean, generally, cold food is unacceptable, but especially when you pay a lot of money for it. The next word is broad. Broad. Good. I love it that you guys are writing example sentences. Please continue. This is how you're going to remember it, especially if you don't use them. You can just say it out loud as well. You don't have to write it, but if you write it, I get to see it. Broad. Broad is very general, covering a lot of different things. Okay, very general, broad, or covering a lot of different things. Okay, broad. Open Oz and Father, broad. Broad. Sometimes people will round their lips a little bit more broad, depending on the dialect that you're using. Broad, broad, broad. This is how the IPA shows it with an open Oz and Father, broad. You can round your lips a bit more. Broad. That's a pretty broad topic. Can you narrow it down? That's a pretty broad topic. Can you narrow it down? He has really broad interests, from tech to art. He has really broad interests from tech to art. We're taking a broad approach before diving into the details. We're taking a broad approach before diving into the details, right? Like, so we first look at the big picture. Okay? We're not going deep into the details. Broad approach. Broad interest. So it describes another noun. Broad topic. How can you use the word broad more in your day-to-day life? When can you use it? Do you use this word in your first language? That's another question you want to ask yourself. Honestly, if you don't use this word in your first language either, you may not need it in English as well. If you do, and you know the meaning, but you don't use it, this is where we need to be like, okay, this is where you might feel limited because this word is just not available. Okay, good. Capture. Capture. To get or show something exactly right. Think of a photo. Capture. To capture a photo, right? So to get or to show something exactly right, like a feeling or a moment, to capture a moment, right? So capture, 2 syllables. Capture, 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 capture. Say it with me. Capture, capture. Very good examples, everyone. Keep adding them. Capture, capture, capture. The photo really captures the vibe of the trip, right? It gets the essence of the trip. It shows you the essence of the trip, captures the vibe of the trip. That speech captured everyone's attention. To, like, another word I would use, like, grabbed everyone's attention. That speech captured everyone's attention. The movie totally failed to capture the magic of the book, right? It didn't get it quite right. The movie totally failed to capture. It did not get it, right? It wasn't able to get the essence of it. Okay, I'm sure you're gonna love the next word. Love, love, love. Do you know this word? Do you hate it? So the next word is a lot of letters. Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. Ugh, just hear it. I start to itch. This is my expression for bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is complicated rules and paperwork, usually in offices or governments. Okay. If you ever had to immigrate or to file taxes or to apply for Social Security, you know what this word means, right? It's all the paperwork and the forms and, standing in line and getting the right agent or clerk to help you. Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. So the first syllable is bio, like cook, look, book, vowel. But some people might pronounce it more like an u, bureaucracy. Just make it like pronounce this word somewhere between o and u, bureaucracy, but you have a y sound. Ra, as in father, bureaucracy, bureaucracy, bureaucracy. Primary stress is on the rock. Bureaucracy, 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 bureaucracy. We had to go through a lot of bureaucracy just to get our application approved. We had to go through a lot of paperwork, a lot of struggle, right? Like bureaucracy is not struggle, but it's almost like paperwork, right? A lot of bureaucracy, that's the word, just to get our application approved. The bureaucracy at the hospital made it so hard to schedule an appointment, right? You had to fill out all these forms and to show them your insurance and to call the doctor first and then stand in line. And then, right, the bureaucracy at the hospital made it so hard to schedule an appointment. By the way, a lot of languages use this exact word as as the word. The bureaucracy at my new job is overwhelming. Everything needs approval. Okay. Bureaucracy, the procedures, right? Like the bureaucracy at my new job is overwhelming. Everything needs approval. Ugh. On the other hand, we have the word, this already makes me feel stronger. I feel relieved just looking at the next slide. So remember the steps. Okay. First, we need to say it out loud many times so we build the confidence. Autonomy. Autonomy. Now, I have something to say about the A-U spelling. So you can either pronounce it with an open as in father in American English, autonomy, East Coast, British dialects, different dialects of English might use a more rounded version, which is like this inverted C that we see in the IPA. Autonomy. Autonomy. Having lived in New York for many years, this is how I usually pronounce it, with an aw sound. Autonomy. Okay? So you can think of it as or a little bit more rounded like autonomy. Okay? But it's not autonomy. I know there is an O here in the loose spelling, but it's just to help you understand. It's not autonomy. Okay? It's not autonomy. Autonomy is being able to do things on your own or your own way with freedom and control. Autonomy, right? What is the gesture that you're going to add to this word? Autonomy. What works for you? Autonomy. Being able to do things your own way with freedom and control. We don't want bureaucracy at work. We want autonomy. As a teenager, she's starting to want more autonomy and less supervision. This sentence was created on my life as a teenager, or my daughter's life, who's now 12, and she wants more autonomy. And I think just as we speak, she's going to take the train on her own. And I don't like her having a lot of autonomy, but I have no choice. Autonomy. As a teenager, she's starting to want more autonomy and less supervision. The team has enough autonomy to decide how they want to approach the project. Say it out loud with me. Yeah? The team has enough autonomy to decide how they want to approach the project. And I appreciate the autonomy I have in my role to create my own schedule. I appreciate the autonomy I have in my role to create my own schedule. So now I want you to create your own sentences. Think of the word autonomy, say it out loud a few times, and say a sentence with autonomy, okay? I want you to start using this specific word more regularly. It's a great word to use. Sometimes we use the word freedom, but this is kind of like it's a different, if I were to say, I need freedom, but freedom is different, right? So like what would be a more specific, kind of like a next level word? It's not more advanced or less advanced. It's just slightly different with a very specific perspective on what you want to say, because autonomy right, is a different sense than freedom. And freedom is not necessarily just autonomy, right? The next word is, so autonomy, these are two different words. Independence is, you know, is like when you're able to do things on your own, you're not dependent on others. But autonomy has a sense, so both of them have a sense of freedom. You can use both of them, right, if you want to describe something. But autonomy is kind of like you have full control over your decisions, and you have the freedom, and you are in control of what happens to you. So autonomy. Flawed, not perfect, has some problems or mistakes, okay? Which we like flawed. No one's perfect. As humans, we are all flawed. So I don't want to use it as a negative, in negative context necessarily here, but it's flawed, flawed, flawed. In some dialects in the US, this would be flawed, flawed, as in father. Okay, it's not flawed, even though it's spelled with O. Just think of it like as a very open O. His argument seemed solid until I realized it was based on a flawed assumption. Okay? Flawed. It had a lot of problems. It wasn't perfect. The movie had a great cast, but the storyline was a bit flawed. It wasn't like there was some continuity issues, right? It wasn't, what happened at the beginning, they didn't support it at the end. The storyline was flawed. Acting was great. So the movie had a great cast, but the storyline was a bit flawed. It sounds like flood, but listen to the difference. It's not the same. Flawed, flood, flawed, flood. This flood is the cup sound. Flawed is the aw, as in daughter, or as in father. The system may seem perfect, but it's actually flawed in several areas. The system may seem perfect, but it's actually flawed in several areas. The next word, say it. Interfere. Interfere stresses on the last syllable. Interfere. To interfere is to deliberately get involved in a situation where you are not wanted or needed. That is the facial expression that I have when someone interferes or when you interfere. To interfere, to deliberately get involved, to interfere. Maybe this gesture would be more to interfere, right? Like to interfere, to deliberately get involved in a situation where you are not wanted or needed. Okay? Do not interfere. I wish people would stop interfering in my personal life. It's none of their business. Okay? Like, what would be another word to use it to get in the way, to mess around, to interfere? Bother? Not really, but I can see how that can work in some context, like in specific context, to interfere. I wish people would stop interfering, but this is why we need the specific word, because this is what it means to interrupt or to get in the way of something. In my personal life, it's none of their business. I don't like it when coworkers interfere with my work. I prefer to handle things on my own. So let's just say that first sentence together. I don't like when coworkers interfere with my work. I don't like when coworkers interfere with my work. People don't interfere while I'm talking. I need to Something interfered with my ability to read things clearly. I'm going to try it again. Please don't interfere while I'm talking, okay? Don't interfere. Don't interrupt me, right? Don't interfere while I'm talking. I need to finish my point. Please don't interfere while I'm talking. Please don't interfere while I'm talking. The next word is realm. 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 We do hear the L here. Realm. It's an R sound and E, L-M. Realm is a space or area, usually not physical, okay, where someone knows a lot or has power. Realm. realm. Let's look at examples. It's going to be clearer. She's an expert in the realm of digital marketing, in the industry and sphere, right? Realm. So going back to the definition, a space or area, usually not physical, realm of digital marketing. It's not a room, right? Where someone knows a lot or has power. In the realm of fitness, in the fitness industry, or in the area around, how would I say it without using this word? In the area of fitness, consistency is key to seeing results. Same for the realm of language learning. In the realm of fitness, consistency is key to seeing results. That's not really my realm. That's not my area of expertise. Okay. I'm more comfortable with creative projects. That's not really my realm. I don't do Excel sheets. That's not my realm. That's not my area of expertise, my realm. I am more comfortable with creative projects. Okay. What about this? Nausea. So here, this word, sorry, I'm a little nauseous right now. Nausea. I'm kidding, I'm not. Nausea is that sick feeling in your stomach when you feel like you might throw up. When something, let's say when there is a really bad smell, or when you eat something really bad, or when you see something that makes you feel sick. Okay, nausea. After a long car ride, I felt a wave of nausea like I might throw up. Nausea, or I feel nauseous. Nausea hit me right after the rough boat ride, because I'm seasick. Nausea hit me right after the rough boat ride, and I had to sit down until it passed. Okay. My nausea passed. That's it. I'm good now. The constant motion of the boat gave me such severe nausea that I had to lie down. Talking a lot about being seasick here. Nausea. Okay, good. So nausea, okay, when we think of nausea, it's like we want to think of it as a noun. It's not that made me feel nausea, because if you want to describe how you feel, you're going to say nauseous. Okay? Just to clarify. Good. Now, to wrap up, I'm going to give you 3 vocabulary prompts for ChatGPT. So if you want to practice your vocabulary, first of all, please download. Let me show you. Please download. I'm going to share it right here. Hold on. Making sure that you have access to it. Let me share it. My vocabulary planner, so you can use it to learn vocabulary, in addition to everything that we did here. So you can get my 5-step method, follow it. And the planner is designed to help you organize it, it's going to give you a space to collect the words. It's going to remind you of the steps. You'll have space to look at example sentences, so on and so forth. So go ahead and download it. And then here are 3 vocabulary prompts for ChatGPT, so you can write them down or take a screenshot of the examples. The first one is, give me 10 common B2 words with 3 example sentences each, showing how they're used in everyday situation. Now, if you feel like you have more experience in English, you can choose C1, C2, A2 if you want to kind of dial it down a little bit. So this is a good prompt to create those, to find those words, and then to use example sentences, which is what we did. But remember, say the word out loud. So look up the pronunciation and say the sentences out loud, and then create your own sentences. But then you can type those sentences into ChatGPT or Hadar AI if you're in Beyond or New Sound, one of my programs. And then you can get feedback on those. Another ChatGPT prompt: create a vocabulary exercise with 10 B2 words. For each word, provide its definition, then ask me to write a sentence using it afterwards give me feedback on my sentences. This is another great prompt. I tested all of those. I refined them for you guys to get the best results. And then the last one, write a short story, 100 to 150 words with 10 B2 words underlined. Then create 5 questions about the vocabulary used, asking for synonyms, definitions, or context. This is a little bit more complicated, but it's going to show you a story with underlined words or bolded words. That's what ChatGPT does. And ask you for alternative words or synonyms, antonyms. So it's really good. It's a really good exercise to kind of like get you out of your comfort zone. Okay, good. So again, if you go to hadarshamish.com/planner, you can download my 5-step vocabulary planner and start implementing this new method when learning new words. And also this video is recorded. You can come back to it and practice along with the words that I shared with you today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your examples in the chat. And if you're watching the recording, you can write comments in example sentences in the comments below, okay? Stay active. It's really important to stay engaged and to put in the work and to not just like listen. Don't be a passive listener. Say things out loud, create sentences, share them. That's how we learn. That's how we change. Thank you, everyone, so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you next week. You know it, in the next video. Bye, everyone.